Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jashodanandana Vraja Janadana. Jashodanandana Shri Harinama Mantra ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki, Gaur Premanande,
Hari Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananchana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Namani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just stay on Jamulus for a minute and go to the Chaitanya Charitamrta. Apani Shri Krishna Jari Karina Avatar Apani Achari Bhakti Karina Prachar. Advaita Acharya thought, if Sri Krishna were to appear as an incarnation, he himself could preach devotion by his personal example. Nam binu kali kale tanama nahi aro kale kale kaiche habe Krishna avataro. In this age of Kali, there is no religion other than the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But how in this age will the Lord appear as an incarnation? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shuddha bhave kariba Krishnara aratano nirantara sadhanye kariba nivedano. I shall worship Krishna in a purified state of mind. I shall constantly petition him in humbleness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Aniya Krishna re karon kirtana sanchar tabeshe advaita nam sapala amar. My name, Advaita, will be fitting if I am able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of the chanting of the holy name. The non-dualist Mayavadi philosopher who falsely believes that he is non-different from the Lord is unable to call him like Advaita Prabhu. Advaita Prabhu is non-different from the Lord. Yet in his relationship with the Lord, he does not merge with him, but eternally renders service unto him as a plenary portion. This is inconceivable for Mayavadis because they think in terms of mundane sense perception and therefore think that non-dualism necessitates losing one's separate identity. It is clear from this verse, however, that Advaita Prabhu, although retaining his separate identity, is non-different from the Lord. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu preached the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous oneness with the Lord and difference from him. Conceivable dualism and monism are conceptions of the imperfect senses, which are unable to reach the transcendence, because the transcendence is beyond the conception of limited potency. The actions of Śrī Advaita Prabhu, however, give tangible proof of inconceivable non-dualism. One who therefore surrenders under Śrī Advaita Prabhu can easily follow the philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous dualism and monism. Krishna Vasha Karibhena Kor Aradhane Vicharite Eka Shloka Aila Tar Mane. While he was thinking about how to propitiate Krishna by worship, the following verse came to his mind. Tulasi Dala Matrena Jalasya Chulukenava Vikrini te swam atmanam Bhaktebhyo Bhaktavatsala. Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate toward his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palm full of water. A verse from the Gautamiya Tantra. ISKCON charya karena vicharam Krishna ke tulase jal deha je jan Tarne shodite Krishna karena chintana Jala tulasira sama kichu karena hedhana. Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of the verse in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulsi leaf and water, Lord Krishna thinks, there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulsi leaf and water. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tabe ana deche kare rinera shodhan ete bhavi acharya karena arodhan. Thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering in this way, the Acharya began worshipping the Lord. Purport: through devotional service, one can easily please Lord Krishna with a leaf of the tulsi plant and a little water. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:26, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water, patram pushpam phalam toyam, when offered with devotion, very much pleases him. He universally accepts the services of his devotees. He universally accepts the services of his devotees. He universally accepts the services of his devotees. Even the poorest of devotees in any part of the world can secure a small flower, fruit, or leaf, and a little water. And if these offerings, and especially tulsi leaves and Ganges water, are offered to Krishna with devotion, he is very satisfied. It is said that Krishna is so much pleased with devotional service that he offers himself to his devotee in exchange for it. Srila Advaita Acharya knew this, and therefore he decided to call for the personality of Godhead Krishna to descend by worshipping the Lord with tulsi leaves and the water of the Ganges. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Ganga Jal Tulsi Manjari Anukshana Krishna Pada Padma Bhavi Kare Samarpana. Thinking of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, he constantly offered tulsi buds in water from the Ganges. Krishnera Avahana Kare Karya Hunkar Emate Krishnere Karaila Avatar. He appealed to Sri Krishna with loud calls and thus made it possible for Krishna to appear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Avatare Muktya Hetu, Bhaktira Ichaya Avatare Dharma Setu. Therefore, the principal reason for Śrī Caitanya's descent is this appeal by Advaita Acharya. The Lord, the protector of religion. The Lord, the protector of religion, appears by the desire of his devotee. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hritsaroja ase sutekshita pato nanunata pumsam yadyadya tad urugaya vipavayanti tat tad vapu pranayase tadanugrahaya. O my Lord, you always dwell in the vision and hearing of your pure devotees. You also live in their lotus-like hearts, which are purified by devotional service. O my Lord, who are glorified by exalted prayers, you show special favor to your devotees by manifesting yourself in the eternal forms in which they welcome you. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.11 is a prayer by Lord Brahma to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna for his blessings in the work of creation. Knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood from the descriptions of the Vedic scriptures. For example, the Brahma Samhita 5.29 describes that in the abode of Lord Krishna, which is made of Jintamani, touchstone, the Lord, acting as a cowherd boy, is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Mayavadis think that the devotees have imagined the form of Krishna, but the authentic Vedic scriptures have actually described Krishna and his various transcendental forms. The word Shruta and Shrutekshta Pata refers to the Vedas, and Ikshata indicates that the way to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is by proper study of the Vedic scriptures. One cannot imagine something about God or his form. Such imagination is not accepted by those who are serious about enlightenment. Here Brahma says that one can know Krishna through the path of properly understanding the Vedic texts. If by studying the form, name, qualities, pastimes, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Godhead one is attracted to the Lord, he can execute devotional service, and the form of the Lord will be impressed in his heart and remain transcendentally situated there. Unless a devotee actually develops transcendental love for the Lord, it is not possible for him to think always of the Lord within his heart. Such constant thought of the Lord is the sublime perfection of the yogic process, as the Bhagavad Gita confirms in the 6th chapter, 47, stating that anyone absorbed in such thought is the best of all yogis. Such transcendental absorption is known as samadhi. A pure devotee who is always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the person qualified to see the Lord. One cannot speak of Urugaya, the Lord who is glorified by sublime prayers, unless one is transcendentally elevated. The Lord has innumerable forms, as the Brahma Samhita confirms, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadhim, Anantarupam. The Lord expands himself in innumerable Shramsha forms. When a devotee hearing about these innumerable forms becomes attached to one and always thinks of him, the Lord appears to him in that form. Lord Krishna is especially pleasing to such devotees, in whose hearts he is always present because of their highly elevated transcendental love. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Esh lokera arto kahi shankepalera sar, bhaktira ishaya krishnera sarva avatar. The essence of the meaning of this verse is that Lord Krishna appears in all his innumerable eternal forms because of the desires of his pure devotees. Chaturta shlokera arto hoila sanishchite, avatirna hoila gora prema prakashite. Thus, I have surely determined the meaning of the fourth verse. Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya appeared as an incarnation to preach unalloyed love of God. Śrī Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jar Ash Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Śrī Rupa and Śrī Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Ādi-līlā, 3rd chapter, describing the external reasons for the appearance of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Let us, for a moment, go back to any of the points that you noticed that inspired you from the purports or any of the verses so that we can discuss them a little bit.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tanvat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is
Jai.
Manu Gita.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru. The point that stuck to me was when Advaita Acharya was calling for Krishna with the tulsi leaf and Ganges water. It was stuck because I feel that when we have that urge, that sincerity of calling him, he will definitely come.
Yes. It's the quality of the devotee's devotion that attracts Krishna. So if somebody's without any wealth to offer to Krishna, or even if one does have it, the sincerity is the potent active ingredient that is the effective way to attract Krishna's attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other points? What other points? What did you hear?
So I like the point that when we offer water and tulsi leaf, then Krishna fulfills our desires. But I understand that Krishna only fulfills the spiritual desires, because I might have many material attachments. Even though I'm offering water and tulsi leaf, Krishna, like a father, he knows what are the right kind of desires that will progress me in devotional service. So I understand only those kind of desires would be fulfilled by Krishna.
Yes. Otherwise, he fulfills the other desires in such a way that you won't want to ask for them again. As you can look up this verse, please, someone. Satyam artita nrinam naivartato yet punar artito yata swayam vidate bhajatam anichatam ichapitanam nijapada pallavam. Krishna says the same here. That if somebody who's a devotee petitions me again and again for some material benediction, Satyam Dishyart, let's see the Sanskrit, it's beautiful. Satyam Dishatyartitam Artito Nirnam Navartado Yat Punar Artitayata Swayam Vidate Bhajatam Anichatam Ichapidanam Nijapada Pallavam. In the translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motives, but he does not bestow benedictions upon the devotee that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. However, the Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it, and that shelter satisfies all his desires. That is the Supreme Personality's special mercy. Purport. The devotees mentioned in this previous verse approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with material motives, but this verse explains how such devotees are saved from those desires. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 advises, Kama sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is freed from all material desires, is full of material desires, or desires to become one with the Supreme, he should engage in devotional service. In this way, not only will the devotee's desires be fulfilled, but the day will come when he will have no other desire than to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. One who engages in the service of the Lord with some motive is called sakama bhakta. And one who serves the Lord without any motives is called an akama bhakta. Krishna is so merciful that he turns a sakama bhakta into an akama bhakta, a pure devotee. An akama bhakta who has no material motives is satisfied simply to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.22. Yam labha chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. There's a chanting going on, which is fine, except for it's at the same time. If one engages in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not want anything more. This is the highest stage of devotional service. The Lord is so kind even to a sakama bhakta, a motivated devotee, that he satisfies his desires in such a way that one day he becomes an akama bhakta. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, became a bhakta with the motive of getting a better kingdom than that of his father, but finally he became an akama bhakta and said to the Lord, Swamin kritartos mivaram nayache. My dear Lord, I am very satisfied simply to serve your lotus feet. I do not want any material benefits. Sometimes it is found that a small child eats dirty things, but his parents take away the dirty things and offer him a sandesh or some other sweetmeat. Devotees who aspire for material benedictions are compared to such children. The Lord is so kind that he takes away their material desires and gives them the The Lord is so kind that he takes away their material desires and gives them the highest benediction. Therefore, even for material motives, one should not worship anyone other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must fully engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that all his desires will be fulfilled. And at the end, he can go back home, back to Godhead. This is explained in Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, Madhya 22, 37 through 39 and 41 as follows. Anyakami. A devotee may desire something other than the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. Jadi kari Krishnara bhajana. But if he engages in the Lord's service, na mahagiteha Krishna tare dena swacharana. Krishna gives him shelter at his lotus feet, even though he does not aspire for it. Krishna kahe, the Lord says, Ama bhaje, he is engaged in my service. Mage bishai suk, but he wants the benefits of material sense gratification. Amrita chadi bisha mage, such a devotee is like a person who asks for poison instead of nectar. E badu murk, that is his foolishness. Ami vigna, but I am experienced. E murke bishaya kene dibo. Why should I give such a foolish person the dirty things of material enjoyment? Swacharanamrta. It would be better for me to give him shelter at my lotus feet. Bishaya bujal bhulaiba. I shall cause him to forget all material desires. Kama lagi Krishna bhaje. If one engages in the service of the Lord for sense gratification, pai Krishna rashe, the result is that he ultimately gets a taste for serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Kama chadi das hoite hoi abilashe. He then gives up all material desires and wants to become an eternal servant of the Lord. So this is the benediction of worshiping Krishna, whom Krishna gave benediction to Putana, even though she came to kill him. If you look at this verse, also from the Bhagavatam, Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jikamsaya payadapyasadvi lebegatim datruchitam tatonyam kambada yalum sharanam vrajema. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigamsaya payadapyasadvi lebegatim datruchitam tatonyam kamvada yalum sharanam vrajena. Oh, alas, Baki, the she-demon Putana, yam, whom, stana, of her breast, kala, deadly, kutam, poison, jigamsaya, out of envy, apaya yat, nourished, api, although, asadvi, unfaithful, lebhe, achieve, gatim, destination, datri uchitam, just suitable for the nurse, tata, beyond whom, anyam, other, come, who else, va, certainly, Dayalum, merciful, Sharanam, shelter, Vrajema, shall I take. Translation, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Purport, here is an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord, even to his enemy. It is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. In his babyhood, he was administered deadly poison by Putana, a she-demon, who tried to kill the wonderful baby. And because she was a demon, it was impossible for her to know that the Supreme Lord, even though playing the part of a baby, was no one less than the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. His value as the Supreme Lord did not diminish upon his becoming a baby to please his devotee Yashoda. The Lord may assume the form of a baby or a shape other than that of a human being, but it doesn't make the slightest difference. He is always the same Supreme. A living creature, however powerful he may become by dint of severe penance, can never become equal to the Supreme Lord. If anyone's a living creature, raise your hand. Any living creatures here? Okay. A living creature, however powerful he may become by dint of severe penance, can never become equal to the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Putana because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? What is your opinion? Anyone? Anyone?
Guru Maharaj, there is no other shelter than our Creator.
Can you prove that? Give me a shloka that suggests the same.
Don't know, Maharaj.
Someone give me a quintessential verse that is very, very beautiful that we can chant right now to remember how Krishna is the shelter of the entire cosmic manifestation.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate itimad vajanteman buddha bhava samamitaha.
10 points. Please give us the idea of the translation.
Yeah.
Say it from just a summary.
Yeah, I'm the original of everything emanates from me, all the material and spiritual, and the sage does know that they worshiping me with love and affection. And
Ooh, that's nice. That's a very good one. Thank you very much. And good to see you. Let's see who else has another verse about
Hare
taking
Krishna,
shelter.
Guru Maharaj.
Dhanavari,
Please
Haribol.
accept. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances to you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I remember one from 1515, Sarvasya Chaham Radisanivisto Mata Smriti Gnanam Apohanam Cha Vedesya Sarve Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Veda Davideva Chaham.
Yes, and the meaning?
The meaning is I'm in heart of all living entities. I can give them memory and I can give them forgetfulness as time comes, or if, yeah, that's all I know.
Okay. That verse, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishto. Sanivishto means having entered or existing within the heart. Sarvasya, all of them. Sarvasya Cha Aham. I have entered within the heart of every living entity. Matak Smritir Gyanam. So he then says, I give knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness to the living entity. So whatever is coming into our awareness or going out of our awareness is all coming by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's fulfilling the desire of the living entity. For instance, if someone wants to become an atheist, then Krishna gives knowledge to that person how to become a really good atheist and write books about atheism and so forth. And then he says that I am the compiler of the Vedanta. I know the Vedas. I'm the source of the Vedas. Indeed, I compiled them. Who can tell me what verse I'm thinking of right now about taking shelter of Krishna? Yes, I knew you'd get it, Shamarupa. You're so smart. Say that verse, would you please?
Sure. Samashritaye padapallava plabam mahat padam punna yasho murare bhabam buddhir vatsa padam param padam 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 yad vipadam natesham.
Fantastic. Just give us an idea for the verse. Give us the bhav, the feeling of the verse, and the summarized meaning.
So, Samashrita meaning taking shelter of Pada Pallava Plavam, that lotus feet which is like flower buds, and Mahat Padam. Mahat Padam means total material creation. Mahat Padam Punna Yasho Murare. We take shelter and Punna, it is simultaneously Payas also. And Yasha means fame. So it is who is also famous all over the three worlds. And Murare means who killed the demon Mura, enemy of Mura demon, which is Krishna. And Bhavam Buddhir, Bhava Ambudhi means this material ocean. Vatsa Padam meaning the calf. Vatsa is cows, Vatsa is calf. So the whole material world reduces, like who takes shelter of this famous personality who is the killer of them, Mura demon, who is Murari, who is Krishna. If we take his shelter, then the whole material world, the suffering reduces to Vatsapadam, that is calf's footprint.
Oh, so nicely done. So nicely done. And don't take shelter here in this material world because it's vipadam. Yeah. Because vipadam means if you try to walk in this world, you're going to trip and fall, and it's going to be bad. But so don't do that. Just take shelter in the spiritual and under Krishna's lotus feet. As there can be a misstep at any time here in the material world. Here's a verse at the outset of the teachings of to Maharaj Nimi by Kavi Havi Antariksha. And you'll see there that it says that if one runs with eyes closed in bhakti, one will not trip and fall. This goes to the safety of the process of devotional service. Can you give me that verse, Balaram? Just that one will not trip and fall, even with eyes closed, in the process of bhakti. So Krishna. So here is the instructions given by Navayogendra. This is in the outset. Yan asthaya naro rajan na pramadyet karichit davan nimilya vanetre na skalen na petit iha. Yan means which means asthaya, accepting, nara, a man, rajan, O king, na pramadyeta, is not bewildered, karichit, ever, davan, running, Nimilya, closing, va, or, netre, his eyes, na skalet, will not trip, na patet, will not fall, iha, on this path. Translation, O king, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the word agya, easily, anja, easily, which is used in the previous verse, is explained in this verse. He says, anja paden roktam su karatvam vivrinoti. By the word anja, the ease of performing bhakti yoga is established, and this will be elaborated in the present verse. In Bhagavad Gita 9.2, the Lord himself states, pratyakshavagam dharmyam susukam kartum avyayam. The process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal, and it is very joyfully and naturally performed. Srila Prabhupada comments, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn, then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, patram pushpan palam. He is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what. Even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances of this in history. Simply by tasting the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumara became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice, and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to him. The essential point to be understood here is that when a living entity surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he tells the Lord, my dear Lord, although I am most sinful and unqualified and for so long have been trying to forget you, now I am taking shelter at your lotus feet. From this day on, I am yours. Whatever I possess, my body, mind, words, family, riches, I'm now offering at your lotus feet. Please do with me as you like. The Supreme Lord Krishna has repeatedly given assurance in Bhagavad Gita that he will protect and redeem such a surrendered living entity, bringing him back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life in the Lord's own kingdom. Thus, the qualification of surrendering to the Lord is so great and spiritually potent that even if a surrendered soul is deficient in other aspects of pious life, his elevated status is protected by the Lord himself. I'll read that again because it's so essential. Thus, the qualification of surrendering to the Lord is so great and spiritually potent that even if a surrendered soul is deficient in other aspects of pious life, his elevated status is protected by the Lord himself. In other processes, however, such as yoga, because one depends upon his own determination and intelligence and does not actually seek shelter of the Lord, one is subject to fall at any moment, being protected only by one's own flimsy, limited potency. Therefore, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.232, Ahruya Krishnena Parampadam Tata Patantyadho Nadrita Yushmad Angraya. If one gives up the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and instead tries to advance in the yoga process by one's own determination, or if one tries to make progress in knowledge by one's own speculative power, surely one will eventually fall again to a mediocre material platform, having no protection other than one's own fallible strength. Isn't that a scary proposition to fall to again to a mediocre material platform? There's nothing worse than mediocrity. Therefore, the Vaishnava Acharyas in their commentaries on this verse have illustrated in various ways the vast superiority of Bhakti Yoga or pure devotional service. In this connection, Sridhar Swami states, Nimilya netre davan api iha eshu bhagavata dharmeshu na skalet. Nimilanam nama jnanam yatahu shruti smriti ube netre vipranam parikirtite ekena vikalakano dvabhyam anda prakirtita iti. Even if running with both eyes closed, a devotee on this path of Bhagavata Dharma will not stumble. Closing one's eyes refers to being in ignorance of standard Vedic literatures. As it is said, the Shruti and Smriti scriptures are the two eyes of the Brahmanas. Lacking one of them, a Brahmana is half blind, and deprived of both, he is considered completely blind. In the Bhagavad Gita 10:10-11, the Lord has clearly stated that even if a devotee is lacking in Vedic knowledge or ignorant of Vaishnava literature, the Lord personally enlightens him from within his heart if the devotee is actually engaged in loving service to the Lord. In this connection, Srila Prabhupada states, when Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, this is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literature or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. Yet this facility given by the Lord cannot justify unauthorized concoctions put forward about the process of devotional service in the name of spontaneous devotion. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated, Bhagavat praptyartam pratan marga karanam tvati dushanavaham eva. If one manufactures his own process of devotional service for the sake of attaining the Supreme Lord, such a concoction will cause total ruination. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes on to quote, Shruti Smriti Paranadi Pancharatra Vidimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpataya Vikalpate. If one's so-called unalloyed devotion to the Lord Hari does not take into account the regulations of the Shruti, Smriti, Puranas, and Pancharatra, it is nothing more than a disturbance to society. In other words, even if one is not learned in Vedic literatures, if he is engaged in the loving service of the Lord, he is to be accepted as a pure devotee. Nonetheless, such loving devotion cannot in any way contradict the injunctions of revealed scriptures. Such groups as Prakrita Sahajya ignore the standard regulations of Vaishnava Dharma and engage in illicit, degraded activities, dressing as Radha and Krishna in the name of spontaneous devotion. They claim that because such spontaneous devotion is revealed by the Lord himself, they need not refer to standard scriptures. Similarly, all over the world, there are pseudo-religionists who manufacture their own processes and claim they are receiving knowledge from the Lord himself within their hearts. Therefore, it is very important to understand, as stated here, that spontaneous revelation by the Lord within the heart is meant not to alter the eternal process of devotional service to the Lord, but to give a supplementary facility to a sincere devotee who is ignorant of revealed scriptures. In other words, the revealed scriptures describe the eternal process of service to the Lord. Since the Lord is eternal and the living entity is eternal, the process of their loving relationship is also eternal. The Lord never changes his essential nature, nor does the living entity. Therefore, there is no need to change the essential process of loving service to the Lord. Special revelation by the Lord is meant to give scriptural knowledge by another means and not to contradict scriptural knowledge. On the other hand, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated that if a devotee is executing all the basic principles of bhakti yoga and advancing in devotional service, such a Vaishnava should not be criticized for neglecting the secondary procedures. For example, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada established hundreds of spiritual communities in the Western countries for practicing Krishna consciousness. The devotees in these communities give up all illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating, and constantly engage in service to Krishna. Such followers of Srila Prabhupada are able to make wonderful spiritual advancement and convert many thousands of people to the process of devotional service. In fact, all the faithful members of ISKCON who follow the standard regulations remain free from material contamination and make visible progress in going back home, back to Godhead. Such members of ISKCON cannot possibly execute all the details of the Varnashrama Dharma system. In fact, many Western devotees can barely pronounce Sanskrit words and are not very expert in performing elaborate sacrifices based on chanting of mantras and offering oblations. But because they are executing all the essential principles of bhakti yoga by giving up material sense gratification and constantly engaging in loving service to Krishna, their position is guaranteed both in this life and the next. We have seen many sophisticated Sanskrit scholars and learned experts in the details of Vedic sacrifice who can hardly even follow the basic principles of human life, namely no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, and no intoxication. Such brilliant scholars and ritualistic performers are generally seen to be attracted to a materialistic conception of life and are fond of mental speculation. Although in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself has given perfect knowledge for all time, such so-called scholars consider themselves more intelligent than the Lord and thus speculate on the meaning of Vedic literature. Such speculation certainly constitutes a fall from perfect spiritual life, and what then is to be said of materialistic fruitive activities, which are illusory in every sense of the term. The transcendental devotees are able to remain aloof from the pollution of fruitive activity and mental speculation, and that is the essential purport of this verse. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has warned that the words yan astaya indicate that the exalted status of a Vaishnava can never be accorded to one who is not following the basic regulations of bhakti yoga, nor can it apply to one who is sometimes serving Krishna and sometimes serving the illusory energy Maya by mental speculation or fruitive activities. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has concluded, in all dharmas other than Bhagavata Dharma, one must consider the conditioned soul's qualification, but a soul surrendered to the Lord is never confounded by error, even if unqualified in all other respects. His feet never stumble and he never falls, even though wandering in the world at whim. He always resides in an auspicious place by the influence of his unwavering worship. The unique potency of Bhagavata Dharma does not appear in any of the other dharmas of the world. There is no comparison between a surrendered individual who has taken shelter of Bhagavata Dharma and the practitioner of any other dharma. Okay, so there's a question here. Sundarananda, Prabhu, we have deep-rooted shelters we may take in this material world just by conditionings. So to transfer that shelter to Lord Krishna, let's see. We have deep-rooted shelters we take in this material world just by our conditionings. So to transfer that shelter to Lord Krishna, will that happen gradually as we continue to perform devotional service? It can happen gradually, or it can happen by one's own will immediately. If you look at 1866 in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada explains this. At every step, there's opportunities to surrender more. Of course, we have to take those opportunities also. That's why there's an admonition given in the Padma Purana in chanting the holy name of the Lord that one shouldn't maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on the matter. That's why I advocate making a list of VLCs, voluntary life changes, because you can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is to decide ahead of time, preemptively, which things I want to voluntarily take to and say, Krishna, please help me to do this. Become more aware of it and more conscious of what are the ways that I need to surrender more. And by Krishna's grace, we can overcome them, but we should pointedly ask Krishna to help us in such ways. So that's kind of a combination. And the more that we are consciously aware that the goal is to surrender to Krishna and not hold on while we're performing devotional service to material desires, then the more we can advance in devotional service. That's why those who have obviously given up material desires are more honored in society. All devotees are honored, but those, for instance, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranati bishta cha bhajantamisham shushushaya bhajana vignamananyamanya nindari shunya hridamipsita sangalabhya. Rupa Goswami says that we honor someone who says Hare Krishna in our mind. We give obeisances demonstratively to those who have taken Diksha. Why? Because Diksha Kali, Bhakta Kari Atma Samarpan, She Kali, Bhakta Kari Atma Samarpan. There's a way in which Krishna gives a higher status to somebody who's surrendered through Diksha and said, yes, I'm taking this up as a vow. And Krishna says, such a person, Samarpana, Atma Samarpana, who gives him or herself in surrender, is Atma Sam. He's as good as me in quality because he's entered into that category. So making a decision to surrender to Krishna is a glorious, life-changing, world-changing decision. And whether it's small or big, it's significant. That's the only thing that's really significant. As externally performing devotional service while holding on at the same time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur compared to the wedding party that got in the boat. They forgot to take out the anchor, and the boatman was rowing all night long while the wedding party was asleep. And then in the morning, they woke up, they saw the sunrise, and they were in the same place. He said, forgot to take the anchor out. So pulling the anchor out is one of the main points in advancement in devotional services. I have to see it and then say, I'm taking it out. And if I can't take it out, if I don't have yoga balena, the strength to do that, then at least I should mark it, that this is there. Acceptance is the first step to overcoming anarthas. Accept that I have them. One of the ways in which I don't overcome anarthas is I don't acknowledge it. Because if I acknowledge it, I know that I'll have to give it up. If you bring it to the light, it's like if somebody's addicted to something, then finally they say, I'm giving it up. So then they go to a group where they can share the fact that they're addicted. And they'll say, hi, my name is Skippy, and I'm addicted to such and such. And then everyone says, hi, Skippy, we are too, and let's deal with this together. So now the light of awareness comes in and acknowledgement of the fact that I have this problem. So if we can admit to Krishna and the devotees that I have some difficulty, of course, guhya makyati prichati, you should have some confidential association where you can tell somebody. In fact, this is one of the brilliant points that Caitanya-Caritāmṛta makes, and that is that sometimes people say, how is it that an advanced devotee can fall down? And then so some people speculate, they say, well, actually, there were no advanced devotees. And therefore, that's why they fell down. They were everyone was faking it. But Caitanya-Caritāmṛta came out with a much better explanation that follows Shastra. And so he explains how there's a way in which somebody may become advanced. And as is explained in the Madhurya Kadambini, that there are waves that can come out of nowhere, just like those who are surfers know. You're out there and it could be placid or small waves, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a big wave comes, suddenly crash, and you get wiped out unless you know how to go underneath it. And so then similarly, these anartas, even for one who is advancing and coming to the end of anarta nivritti, then out of nowhere, some anarta can bubble up. After all, there's millions of impressions there within the citta from millions of lifetimes. And so then if that comes into the mental system and one becomes obsessed with it and attached in some inordinate way to the material world and is going on with one bhajan, then there's a way in which someone might think, well, everyone considers me an advanced devotee. So if I reveal this to somebody, then I'll lose my stature. It may be well-meaning also, because someone might think, well, then they might lose faith or something like that in the process. If I don't, and then such a person, instead of acknowledging it, instead of bringing it up to a confidant and saying, hey, I have this problem, help me deal with it, then they stuff it. And then they become overwhelmed by it because they weren't able to acknowledge it and bring it out and deal with it properly through devotee association, through praying to Krishna openly, and so forth. And then they become consumed by it, and then they may have to experience some kind of a setback. And then, of course, they can reset and say, okay, what brought me here in the first place? And let me now start over again and humbly approach Krishna. And then such a person can regain status, their original status in devotional service, by constantly chanting Hare Krishna and being very humble. But this is one of the ways in which somebody can fall down who's advanced or have reached an advanced stage in devotional service. So at every stage, all the way up till seeing Krishna face to face, we have to be very careful, because the residual effects of previous offenses, says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Madhurya Kadambini, persist all the way till prema and seeing Krishna face to face. There's some semblance there of the residue of semblance and residue. Okay, so there's some residue there all the way to the end that can cause us some difficulty. So Prabhupada writes in one of his purports in the Bhagavatam that not only should we perform devotional service, but we should also be careful. He says it's a regulative principle that one should not fall down. So we should be careful as we're performing devotional service, and part of being careful is to consider that at any time I can fall down, and therefore I should have safety checks all the time with devotees who I know well, who can help me process these things. And also when there's anartas, to deal with them as soon as possible and bring them up to Krishna. And say, Krishna, I'm being tossed this way and that way. Could you please help me with this anarta? I don't have the strength to do it, but because I'm admitting it to you, now I give you permission to please help me in some way to get rid of it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, may I ask a question, Prabhu?
Oh, yes. Hare Krishna.
Accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. Prabhu, the question is from the morning's chanting japa, that Prabhupada mentioned the 3 stages of chanting, Namaparad, Nambhas, and Shuddhanam. Every day morning when we chant, we are struggling with our mind. Whenever the mind goes away somewhere, we try to bring it back. So it becomes a battle every morning, try to bring the mind back. So because we are in the Namaparada stage, so what are the ways to know that if we are making any progress at all in the Namaparada stage, Prabhu?
Well, there's a sense, bhakti parishanubhava viraktiranyata traishatrika ekakala. If we're in the surrendering process and we're coming to this point of namabhasa, there's a way in which we'll have some direct experience for ourselves, a feeling of bhakti. As Prabhupada, as the servants of Prabhupada wrote in that last purport we were reading, that there's a way in which we're, both the Lord and we are transcendental. And once the fog and the clouds, which are blocking the holy name, start to lift a little bit, we'll naturally feel that devotion. It's self-effulgent. So bhakti is the first thing we'll feel, like, oh, Krishna, I'm yours. I'm your servant. I want to be with you. And then bhakti anubhava means we have direct perception. We have direct perception of Krishna. So you're chanting and you start to see Krishna in his name. You hear it. You hear Krishna before you see it. And Prabhupada describes in the Caitanya-Caritāmṛta purport that one will start to hear the name as unique. It's not like any other sound that you hear. It becomes fascinating to the devotee, and one starts to feel, oh, the presence of the Supreme is here in the sound of the name, and becomes interesting. And then bhakti parishadubhava virakti anyata traisha trika ekakala. So these three things happen automatically. And what's the third? The third is that that one becomes feels uninterested in the activities of the material world. It's not restraint, but a kind of sense of like, ew, I'm not into it. Not even ew, because that's like kind of a sense of repulsion, but just like it fades. The interest in material sense gratification fades. Like, why would I do that? For those who have come to the stage of sattva-gun, eating an animal, they'd rather eat a piece of wood or something like that. It's not like they walk past a restaurant and they think, oh, if I could only have a taco or something like that. They're repulsed by the idea. It's not interesting. Well, they're repulsed and they're just not interested anymore. So that's the sense that starts to come in when tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobhadayaschaye cheta iter anavidam stitam sattve prasidati. That the Prabhupada said the pinching that comes from these lower modes was going, you got to do this now. And it's like, not again. Except, yep, again, go do it. And it starts to lessen. And then also there's these various signposts when one's coming to Nishta that begin to show up. And that is that one's not sleepy anymore. There's a way in which when you start to hear and chant, if you hand anybody a Caitanya Charitamrita, said, could you read me, 3 purports? And as soon as they grab the book, although they weren't sleepy before, as soon as they pick up the book, then, or, they start yawning. This is a kind of like the false ego is going, ew, I don't want to talk about Krishna. I want to talk about me. And so then that sleepiness goes away. And it's like, I'm actually interested in this. That's a good sign. I'm interested in the holy name. I'm interested in hearing about Krishna's pastimes and instructions. And then there's a way in which one doesn't become distracted anymore. When the distraction starts to go down and the attraction, think about the word distraction. It's like opposite of attraction. And what's attraction? Krishna. He means attraction. I mean, where else would you be attracted except for the source of all beauty? So this distraction means I really don't like Krishna that much because I'd rather look at something else. So when that starts to lessen, then we have this, we'll notice for ourselves. And then that the kind of non-interest in devotional service that comes when I'm not sleepy at all and I don't have any distractions whatsoever, but I'm just, that's all right. I don't want it. And then there's the innate kinds of qualities of lust, anger, greed. Those things start to noticeably go down. And also the way in which the senses interact with the environment becomes noticeably different. In that we're only interested, just like Prithu Maharaj, in tasting things, hearing things, seeing things that are related to Krishna. Other things become non-interesting. There's no flavor in it. So these are some of the overall symptoms that a spiritual doctor would look at and say, okay, and test your reflexes and then say, okay, yeah, you're definitely chanting at a higher level now because these symptoms are coming out. So we can see for ourselves, just as when you eat food and you feel naturally nourished, satisfied, and hunger goes away. It's from our chanting. And the struggle with the mind is very natural. We were just reading yesterday in the Bhagavatam, the third canto, fourth part, in which this is listen to what Devahuti says. First of all, very well, when she starts talking to her son, asking for advice, she says, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of the disturbance of my senses. So this is a good sign for devotees that, okay, that's enough's enough. That's a good one. Enough's enough. That's it. I can't stands no more. Papa used to say. And then Devahuti says here in the Bhagavatam, my dear, to Kapila Dev, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or a water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for a soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. And here's Kapila Dev's suggestion. He says to Devahuti, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. So Prabhupada says in his purport, this serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, and instructions, etc. So I think that modifier, long time, you hear for a long time, is important for us. Don't get discouraged. You're right in the thick of it, but just keep taking the medicine. And if Devahuti feels frustrated, how should we feel in Kali Yuga? But we should also feel great encouragement, because everything we've heard so far today is that everything goes in our favor. It's just like if you're going into a court and you're wondering, am I going to win the case or not? And then someone comes up and goes, don't worry, the judge really likes you and he knows your family. And, I know what he's going to say, then you'll feel some relief. So, we're implicated here in the material world, and you were going into court and take shelter of the judge. It's like, okay, what's been done is done. I can't undo it now. I just have to take shelter of the judge. That's sarvadharma parityaja. And it's like, well, what's the judge going to say? Is he going to throw me into hell forever? And then we hear the voice of all the sadhus coming up, said, don't worry about it. He really likes you, because of what you've done. You did some heroic act. What did I do? He said, well, you joined, you joined in the process of devotional service. That's all. It's like, yeah, he really likes that. So, we should feel encouraged by all this and know that wherever we are in devotional service, look at Putana. She came to kill Krishna. You're not doing that. You're trying to chant and lean into it. And so it's obvious that the struggle with the mind is going to be onerous. So don't worry about that either. Just dedicate to the process and be devoted to the process. And in due course of time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, just like on a tree, you have to wait till it grows up. And then you have to wait till the branches get fleshed out. And then you have to wait till the little buds, the flowers come. And and you might go, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you can't bully a tree and say, give me fruit now. I want it now. You have to wait. So if you know that the quality of the seed and the tree is powerful, then just take shelter of that and stay in the process and take shelter of Aho Bhakiyam Stanakala Kutam. Even if you wanted to poison Krishna and you kept chanting, he'll still save you. Hare Krishna. And now we're going to have the Guru Puja because today all of the very fortunate disciples of His Holiness Radhanath Swami get their own private darshan. And that starts at 10:30. And I know that you all have things to do and places to go. So let's do the Guru Puja now so that you can get off early. Ish. Namashveshtam manamapi shachiputramatra sarupam shirupam tasya. Pratoyasya pratichakipaya Shri Guru Tamnatosmi. Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bando Swananda Datta Kuraraika Sindo Vrindavana Sinahita Avatar Prasida Radha Pradaya Prachara. Hey Dina Bando Kurunaika Sindo Kuru Prasada Mayimanda Mudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padmes Tumatishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachimata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavana, the divine Radhakunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of all fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon us. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Shri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Sadma. Charger Stotra Shishi Nada Pai Charanada Vidya Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privrajaka Charger Stotra Shishi Man Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Kuti Vaishnavidi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Skaho Śrī Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki,
Jai,
Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki,
Jai,
Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki,
Jai,
Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki,
Jai,
Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki,
Jai,
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki.
Jai.
All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna,
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Go
Krishna,
Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
Diktai Goda Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Diktai Goda Hari Bo. We have just a couple minutes for announcements. Malini, do you have some announcements you'd like to make?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Last week, Kaudukana Prabhu and Akshay Prabhu went to Madras Cafe to set up a table, and they were very successful in distributing books. And
Wow.
they're going to go again today. And tomorrow, one team is going to Muir Woods. Muir Woods, actually, last week, when devotees tried to go, it was packed. There was no parking spot available for any slot during the day.
Wow.
So they're going to go tomorrow. They are actually trying to use all the precautions, and they will put everything, mask, gloves and everything. And they are going to go tomorrow morning for Muir Woods. And we'll continue with our calling party again today, Prabhu.
Fantastic.
If Kautukana Prabhu, if you want to share something from the last week's experience.
Krishna Mataji, Mataji, we just wanted to test the water. So Haladha Rupa Prabhu inspired us to go and try out. Madras Cafe has been a really good spot when we used to go earlier. We also have a smart box there. So Vaishnav Doshini Prabhu told us that we should go and ask for their permission. So we were wearing masks, gloves, and so we went inside, gifted them a Gita Trimurti set, and that person said, yes, you can set up the table. And then we set up the table because we were behind the table, so there was already distancing. I mean, there was distancing maintained. So we took care of gloves, masks, and distance, all these three things. Yeah, and then we were not approaching them as we would do in earlier days. So we were saying hi, and people were coming themselves. Yeah, and because we took care of gloves and masks, I think that was easing off their tension in terms of COVID and all that. So many people came. We met couple of people who were even interested to take Bhagavatam. But yeah, we took their contacts. We also Jai Madhav Prabhu was so kind that he gave us the Bhakti community cards immediately. We were getting late, so he gave us the cards. So we handed them over Bhakti community cards. We took their contacts. We did around 8 Trimurti sets and few other Bhagavad Gitas. So it was really nice, and Akshay Prabhu was also there. So
Wow. This is our life and soul, the news coming from Sankirtan. Way to go, Karnava and team. Fantastic. Thank you. Hare
That's
Krishna.
all we have, Prabhu, for today.
Okay. And if Jai
What is
Madhav
the-
was there,
What's
Huh?
the Zoom meeting number for the book distribution?
For calling party, Mataji?
Yeah, the Zoom meeting number. I tried to do it last week and I couldn't find it.
I'll post it in the chat here, Mataji.
Thank you.
Jai Madhav Prabhu, can you give a brief briefing?
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble wishes, all Guru Shri Prabhupada. Thanks for the opportunity. I want to quickly again recap how we can help. Can I share my screen maybe for a quick minute? So I'll just briefly provide an update around how we can help Bhakti community propagate near and across. So as we know, we have bhakticommunity.com/invite newcomers. So this is the link. So whenever you distribute a book or you come in contact with anyone who is new to ISKCON, new to Bhakti, please send this link to them, bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers. And once you go there, you will see this email, which you can copy paste as it is and send it to them. Right now, we have very special offer for a very limited time, bhakticommunity.com/discover, which you can see. And in that, we are offering a 3-month free trial. No need for any subscription, etc. You can just send it to them. They can, once they come to this URL, they would see the Oreo of Bhakti community, as well as the program which are available for them to enroll right away. We have Bhagavad Gita Women's Circle starting on October 4th, led by our own Ananda Vrindavan Mataji. So this will be Bhagavad Gita very focused for women. And it's at Sundays morning 7:30 a.m. every week, starting at October 4th. So if please do forward to any newcomer to ISKCON or Bhakti, any woman who would like to join in, that will be great. We also have Discover Srimad Bhagavatam and Discover Yourself. Those two programs, we are waiting for sufficient enrollment, which we can start. We'll start after. So please do extend this. And this week, I want to thank Sudevi Mataji. I think her name is Suraksha Makam, but her initiate name is Sudevi Mataji, who has introduced Bhakti community via email. At least we have one referral this week. So thank you so much for doing that. Next, I'll quickly go through the other items, which includes the Bhakti community cards. As Kautukarna Prabhu said, I do have cards, and this week Denver reached out, so I did ship a set of cards to them as well. So if you are going out to distribution or you're coming in contact, either you can give a physical card or a digital card. We have both. Please do reach out. And I also wanted to update that for ISKCON Sydney and Alachua, we have sent out the onboarding questionnaire. So Rasadevi Mataji and Siddhartha Prabhu are leading that endeavor. So hopefully in next few weeks, we can onboard them, and we will keep you updated. We also officially started the ISV digital transformation. So after long wait, we had stars aligned. Our branding strategist is available to start working on this project beginning mid-October. So we are putting groundwork in place for that. Priya Kishori Mataji will be leading that endeavor. So we're super excited and happy and thankful for that. And also Kirtan Oasis transformation would also happen. So this is the time that we have. So let's make sure the next, whenever we can go out for Kirtan Oasis Harinam next time, we go out with new branding and all the new elements that we want to showcase. And our own Shamalangi Mataji would be leading that endeavor. And yeah, there are lots of volunteer opportunities available in case anyone is interested. Please do reach out for all these activities. So that was a quick update on the Bhakti community itself. Any questions or comments, please send a note to hi@bhakticommunity.com. Sorry, I missed one more thing. Sorry, I'll take another 5 seconds, but mention that this week we released a video, Active Ingredients of Life for Happiness. And it has already, as you can see, reached 20,000 people, and it is growing. So please do share with family and friends. It's giving an overview why spiritual practice is the basis for happiness. So it's a very nice short little video. Please do share with your family and friends. And there are other gems also on this page. Please do share all of them with your friends and family. So yeah, that was a quick whirlwind overview of the activities in Bhakti community.
Thank you very much, Shai Madhava Prabhu.
Thank you.
Sharirat Vichaja Jodendriya Taheka Jibe Pele Vishaya Shagade Tarmatiti Bayati Loba Muisuti Takitika Yatinda Shansha Krishna Bodha Doya Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Goda Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Goda Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Goda Hari Bol. This morning's dancing award goes to Ramuna. Hari Bol. Vanchakalptarishta Kripasanabhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Can everyone please unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.